Under a serene sky painted with the golden hues of dusk, a boy stood in a place he never thought he'd visit, a lavish mansion, worlds apart from the modest life he had always known. His life was simple, almost predictable, until a bizarre twist pulled him into a story that felt too surreal to be true. He often wondered if fate had anything extraordinary in store for him. His days were spent in a tight-knit, chaotic yet loving family, where laughter and minor squabbles filled the air. But as it turns out, destiny had other plans, a revelation that would uproot his entire existence and plunge him into a world he was unprepared for. It began with an unusual family meeting. His parents, usually carefree and jovial, had somber expressions. Sitting him down, they handed him a photograph of a girl his age, a stranger to him, yet her features carried an uncanny familiarity. They revealed a shocking truth. As a newborn, he had been mistakenly switched with another baby at the hospital. The girl in the photo was his biological parents' daughter. His thoughts swirled in disbelief. Was his entire life a mistake? He struggled to process how something so bizarre could happen, but there was more. His biological parents had discovered the truth years ago, and now they wanted to meet him. Somehow he had been forgotten. The mansion where his biological parents lived was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Towering gates, manicured gardens, and sparkling fountains greeted him as he stepped inside. It felt like a different planet compared to his humble home. His biological parents welcomed him with open arms, their joy almost overwhelming. They seemed genuinely kind, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of being a stranger in their world. The moment became even more surreal when he locked eyes with the girl from the photograph. Her expression was unreadable, a mix of intrigue and distance. She was beautiful, yet intimidating, her gaze sharp enough to make him question his place. The day had barely begun, and yet another twist was thrown his way. His biological parents revealed that they had arranged an engagement for him. His fiancée, the girl who was supposed to be his sister? His mind raced with questions. Why would they do this? Was it a way to bring their switched children closer together? Or was it some archaic notion of family honor? Either way, he felt like a pawn in a game he didn't sign up for. The girl didn't seem any happier about the arrangement. Her aloof demeanor only added to his confusion. Did she despise him for being the lost son, or was there another reason for her coldness? Despite the awkwardness, their parents encouraged them to spend time together. As the days passed, he began to notice the subtle layers beneath her icy demeanor. She wasn't just cold, she was guarded. There were moments when she seemed almost vulnerable, like when she laughed at a joke he made, or when her eyes softened during quiet conversations. But these moments were fleeting, quickly replaced by her usual stoic nature. The boy couldn't help but wonder, what was she hiding? The answer didn't come quickly. One afternoon, he wandered into a room filled with old photos and documents. Among the stacks, he discovered a letter addressed to her. The words hinted at a truth she had been keeping from everyone, a truth that explained her coldness toward him. Confronting her about the letter, he braced himself for anger. Instead, she broke down, her walls crumbling in an instant. She revealed that she had known about the switch for years. The knowledge had weighed on her, making her question her own identity. Her confession left him shaken. They weren't just strangers thrown together by fate. They were two lives intertwined in ways neither could fully understand. As the days turned into weeks, he began to form his own opinions about the engagement. While he admired her strength, he couldn't ignore the emotional walls she had built around herself. Complicating matters further, a childhood friend re-entered his life. Unlike his fiancée, she was open, kind, and refreshingly simple. She brought a sense of normalcy that he desperately craved. This left him torn. Could he truly commit to someone who barely let him in? Or was the answer right in front of him, in the form of a familiar friend who had always been there for him? One evening, the girl surprised him with a piece of her past, a secret she had never shared with anyone. It was a story of loneliness, of growing up in the shadow of perfection expected by their family. Her vulnerability struck a chord in him. For the first time, he saw her not as an obligation, but as someone who had endured just as much turmoil as he had. But could their shared pain be enough to build a future together? As he stood between the two girls, his fiancée and his childhood friend, he realized he had a choice to make. The weight of his decision bore down on him, each option carrying its own set of consequences. Before he could speak, his phone rang. The voice on the other end delivered shocking news. something that would change everything. Was this the final twist in their tangled fates, or was it just the beginning of another chapter?